The 2025 NBA trade deadline is generational. Yesterday, we got Luka Doncic getting traded to the LA Lakers, and we finally got the De'Aaron Fox trade a week after it was reported that he was going to be on the market pending his 2026 free agency. And the team he wanted to go to all along is the team that traded for him. De'Aaron Fox is now a member of the San Antonio Spurs. Him and Wemby are going to be teammates. So the full details of this trade: the Spurs are getting De'Aaron Fox and Jordan McLaughlin. The Sacramento Kings are getting Zach LaVine, a player they tried signing back in 2018. They're also getting Sidy Cissoko, 3 first-round picks, 2025 via Charlotte, 2027 via San Antonio, and 2031 via Minnesota. They're also getting 3 second-round picks back in this deal. And Chicago is getting Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter, and their first-round pick back from San Antonio, which was originally top 10 protected. So now if they end up with the 11th pick or the 12th pick, Chicago is going to get it no matter what. So yeah, let's break down this deal. It's just crazy that we had back-to-back blockbusters yesterday with Luka, today with Fox. Massive 3-team deal that went down. And I think by far the best team that made out here, the San Antonio Spurs. They get an A+ for this deal. They just traded for De'Aaron Fox, who is a 27-year-old all-star caliber point guard who's averaging 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists per game this year for the Sacramento Kings. He's shooting 47% from the field, and he can orchestrate a half-court offense at an elite level. He can get to the rim with ease. He's a great mid-range jumper. Yeah, there's some shooting concerns with Fox at times, but he's now teamed up with Victor Wembanyama. That is going to be the point guard and center duo that could run the Western Conference for years to come. As LeBron is now teammates with Luka, Wemby is teammates with De'Aaron Fox. This is insane. They get De'Aaron Fox without having to trade Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell, or Jeremy Sohan. That is also mind-blowing. They didn't have to trade any of their important young pieces. Malachi Branham wasn't traded. Julian Champagnie wasn't traded. Even Keldon Johnson and his tradable contract was not traded either. All they had to do was give up Zach Collins, Trey Jones, and Sidy Cissoko player-wise. They had to give up a 2025 Hornets first-round pick. That's going to become 2 seconds. That pick is top 14 protected for this year's draft. The Charlotte Hornets are one of the worst teams in the NBA. They are not making the playoffs, and that's pretty much 100% guaranteed, we know from what we've seen this year. So that's going to be 2 seconds the Kings got back. With that pick, they get San Antonio's 2027 first. That pick is probably going to be pretty bad because you have Wemby and Fox in the Western Conference, and the 2031 Minnesota pick that San Antonio got when they traded Rob Dillingham to Minnesota on draft night. I don't think they gave up any valuable picks here. Yes, they had to give up that Bulls pick, but that was top 10 protected. They kept all, and I mean all, of the Atlanta Hawks first-round picks from the DeJounte Murray trade. They also kept the Sacramento Kings 2031 unprotected pick swap. How did Sacramento not get that pick back in this trade? That is insane. Did they forget that they gave that out in the offseason when they got DeMar DeRozan? San Antonio also has a swap with Dallas in 2030 that they got a couple offseasons ago. That pick shot up in value when they traded away Luka Doncic. They didn't have to trade any of those picks. They didn't have to trade that Boston pick in 2028. So after the Fox trade, the Spurs still have 8 remaining first-round picks, 6 of their own, 2 from the Hawks, and swaps for 4 separate firsts. They remain loaded to go out and make more big trades if they wanted to because they have the Stephon Castle young piece asset. Same with Sohan, Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Champagnie, and they're going to have all these first-round picks. They could really create a big 3 in San Antonio around Wemby and Fox. And Fox had his #1 preferred destination being San Antonio to play with Wemby. No state income tax. And you're playing for a team that's going to have such a bright future playing under one of the best head coaches in NBA history, Greg Popovich, when he's healthy. This really is going to be one of the premier destinations in the NBA. And this is just year 2 of Wemby's contract. He's under this rookie contract for the next 2 years as well. The Spurs absolutely get an A+ in this deal. They hit a home run here. I'm still trying to process how they didn't have to touch any of their young pieces or any of their premier draft picks. What is Sacramento doing? For Sacramento, I'm giving them a D in this trade. It really sucks that you had to trade away your franchise homegrown star, De'Aaron Fox, from the 2017 NBA draft, who spent 7 years in Sacramento. He won Clutch Player of the Year in 2023 when he helped you go back to the playoffs for the first time in almost 2 decades in that 2023 season. Like the beam, it was so special. They traded away Tyrese Halliburton in 2022 for Domantas Sabonis to go all in on De'Aaron Fox as the main guard. They add DeMar DeRozan in the offseason to create a big 3 of DeMar, Sabonis, and Fox, and it basically lasted 45 or so games. Damn, that's really sad. And looking back at the draft capital they got back, I'm just not a fan of this. They get 3 second rounders in this deal. City Sissoko is still such a project player. Yes, you get Zach LaVine, and you can make an argument that Zach LaVine is better than De'Aaron Fox this season. I don't think I could disagree with you. 24 points from LaVine, 5 rebounds a night, 4.5 assists. 51% from the field, 44% from 3, and 80% from the free throw line. He could have been an all-star in the Eastern Conference the way he's been playing this year. And LaVine, outside of last year, has been pretty much a consistent 24-point-per-game scorer on really good efficiency. And funny enough, he's teaming up again with his old Chicago Bulls teammate DeMar DeRozan, where they spent the last 3 seasons playing with each other in Chicago, and now they're going to be playing in the purple and black over there in Sacramento. We'll see how this team looks with Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Domantas Sabonis. And LaVine is under contract for the next 3 years as well, where he's making $43 million this year, $45.9 million next year. And he could opt out of that and become a free agent in 2026 because he has a player option in 2027 for $48.9 million. But the way Zach LaVine has been playing, and honestly, with his injury history, I think it's more likely that he's going to opt into that contract. So I would say he's got 3 years left on his current deal, which is the same with DeMar DeRozan because he signed a 3-year deal in the offseason. And now you're running out a lineup with maybe Zach LaVine playing point guard or Malik Monk. You're going to have those two in the backcourt. You're going to have DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray, and Domantas Sabonis. I still think it's possible for them to make the playoffs in the Western Conference. They're 24-24 this season. They're currently 18th in defensive rating, which I don't think is going to change too much from this deal. Maybe they're going to make a corresponding move, but they are a top 10 offensive team, which I also don't think is going to change too much with this deal because LaVine, you can make an argument, has been better than De'Aaron Fox offensively this season. But I think I'm going to stay with my D for Sacramento. I just don't love the value they got back in these first round picks because it's going to say 3 first-round picks. But that Charlotte pick, they are not going to be making the playoffs this year, like I said. The Charlotte Hornets are currently 12-34. They are 22 games under 500, and Brandon Miller is out for the year. LaMelo Ball has been banged up. Pretty much his whole team has been banged up this year. So that pick is going to turn into 2 second-rounders. So you basically are going to be getting 2 first-round picks in this deal and 5 second-rounders. Like I said, also, the San Antonio Spurs in 2027 are probably going to be a good team, so I don't think that pick is going to have much value in 27. And as long as Anthony Edwards is in Minnesota, and after what happened with Luka Doncic, maybe anything is possible and may not be on the Timberwolves in 2031. The Timberwolves, though, are probably going to be fine then, you would have to think. So I just wanted to believe that they could at least get their 2031 pick swap back. The fact that they didn't get that makes me think Monte McNair, the GM of the Sacramento Kings, forgot that he gave the Spurs that pick swap in the offseason when they got DeMar DeRozan. I still like them having Keon Ellis and Devin Carter and going with that great defensive young backcourt, but I just wonder what their ceiling is going to be because Zach LaVine is 29 years old. He relies a ton on his athleticism, and as he gets older, I do wonder how his game is going to age in this league. I do think Milwaukee could have been a good Zach LaVine destination as well. Obviously, they had to make some corresponding moves to get under the second apron, so that's not happening, and Zach LaVine is going to be in Sacramento at least for the next 2 seasons. So yeah, I'm giving San Antonio an A+. I'm giving Sacramento a D. And for Chicago, I'm giving you guys a C. The only thing I'm happy about with this deal, they got their first round pick back. But like they did with DeRozan, Caruso, they sold way too late on these guys. They should have traded them a year prior than when they actually did. And Chicago getting Zach Collins, who's under contract for the next 2 years. Trey Jones, a fine young guard, but they have a ton of those guys right now. Kevin Huerter, who's also under contract next year. Really nothing to get excited about. The Chicago Bulls are probably about to go through some dark days and enter into a rebuild. And honestly, that's the move they should be doing. They should no longer be in this NBA purgatory where they're too good to be picking high in the NBA draft, but they're too bad to be a team that's going to do anything in the playoffs. So hopefully they do bottom out. Maybe they get lucky, and maybe Cooper Flagg is going to be a Chicago Bull when it's all said and done, and they do get their first round pick back, which is nice. So if that pick does go to Chicago this year, they're also going to get their first round pick next year as well, and they don't have to worry about that protection to San Antonio anymore. But yeah, these are some bad contracts. Maybe Kevin Huerter recoup some of his value in Chicago. Same with Zach Collins and Trey Jones, and you could eventually flip one of those guys in the offseason or at next year's deadline when those become expiring contracts. But just trading away Zach LaVine way too late, you didn't get any exciting young players. The only exciting pick was basically your first round pick back that you traded away for DeMar DeRozan back in the 2021 offseason. So there's a lot of connections between all 3 of these teams with Chicago, San Antonio, and Sacramento. So it's cool that all 3 of these teams did make a deal. I do think San Antonio is by far and away the biggest winner in this deal. And I do think Chicago and Sacramento are probably closer to not winning this deal right now. I just still can't believe the San Antonio Spurs got De'Aaron Fox, a player they're going to have to probably pay this offseason. But that's fine because Fox wants to stay with you guys. He's in his prime at 27 years old. And they didn't have to give up Vassell, Malachi Branham, Jeremy Sohan, Stephon Castle, Keldon Johnson, Julian Champagny even. That is just insane. Or any of the Atlanta Hawks first round picks, or even the Sacramento pick swap in 2031. What a home run trade for the San Antonio Spurs. So that's going to be for me. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, I would appreciate you dropping a thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts on this trade down below. This is technically going to be my third upload of the day because I did 2 videos on the Luka Doncic trade, and you guys are going to get this as well. Make sure you are subscribed for NBA content all trade deadline season long, and I will be live streaming on trade deadline day, and it's looking like it's a generational deadline so far. So yeah, make sure you're subscribed to get notified when I go live, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.